What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports Match, you guys, with another video. In this video, I want to be kind of giving a post-game recap, talking about what we learned from the 2019 NFL Hall of Fame game between the Atlanta Falcons and the Denver Broncos. So before I begin, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, upload NFL videos and NFL content daily. So let's talk about what we learned. So what we learned, the first thing we learned is that Kevin Hogan is obviously the backup quarterback for the Denver Broncos, and Drew Lock still has a long way to go before he's ready to even be a backup or even being considered a starting NFL quarterback. In this game, he went 7 for 11, 34 passing yards, and let me tell you firsthand, that 7 for 11 just came from a lot of passes, a lot of short screen plays that didn't really do anything because he was a little bit worse in that department, so he wasn't as accurate as the box score reflects. He missed Noah Fant on the deep route, which was understandable. He had a really bad miss to number 33 Muhammad on a deep passing route. That was a really bad miss. He also missed a wide receiver on the out route that nearly got intercepted, but the cornerback wasn't able to hold on, and he literally threw it right to the cornerback. So Drew Lock still has a long ways to go, and he kind of looked like a little bit like he didn't really know what was really going on. Really kind of looked like a deer in headlights. He got sacked a couple of plays and things like that. So this was his first performance in the NFL. A lot of people are probably going to bash him, but I'm gonna give him a little bit of a pass just because this is his first NFL game. It's not an official NFL game because it's preseason, but this is his first NFL action, so he should be able to get better as he progresses throughout the preseason. But as we can all see, Kevin Hogan is obviously the backup quarterback. Kevin Hogan was really solid in the first half or the first quarter for the Denver Broncos. He was 5 of 8 passing, 37 yards passing, so he was really solid back there. He didn't throw a touchdown or anything like that, but he was really solid. I was really impressed with what I saw a lot of Kevin Hogan in the first half. And also Brett Rippon. Brett Rippon was 5 of 10, 41 passing yards, 1 touchdown. He had that enormous and immaculate game-winning pass to Juwan Winfrey. It was tipped by the cornerback. Juwan Winfrey came up and caught it. That's where you're supposed to throw the ball at. So the Denver Broncos quarterbacks, Brett Rippon was okay. Drew Lock, less to be desired. Kevin Hogan was pretty good as well. So the Denver Broncos, when it came to the running game, their halfbacks were really productive. So it's going to be really hard for the Denver Broncos to try to release one of these halfbacks because these halfbacks did phenomenal. The guy who I'm going to talk about who was pretty much my player of the game was halfback number 33, K. Muhammad. He had 7 carries for 50 rushing yards. He was averaging 7.1 yards per carry and had 1 touchdown as well. He also could have probably had a receiving touchdown if Drew Lock didn't overthrow him on that wide open deep route. So, I mean, he had a very phenomenal game there. Noah Fant, he had a pretty up and down game. He had 2 drop passes in a row. Then he had a big third down catch when he caught the ball on third down and ended up moving the chains for the Denver Broncos. He also had some pretty good blocks as well, had a holding call. So Noah Fant, he had a pretty okay performance. I think he was pretty solid. If you can overlook that he had 2 drops to begin the game with. But overall, he was pretty solid. And then also, we got to talk about Draymond Jones. Draymond Jones, defensive tackle out of Ohio State University. He was very good. He had a couple of plays that he was highlighted in. Had a big play when he blew up like a run in the backfield. Also had a play that he showed some very good technique and very good use of hands when he was able to get after the quarterback there as well. So for the Denver Broncos, basically what we can take away, what we learned from the Denver Broncos is that Drew Lock isn't ready yet. Still has a long way to go, and they have a lot of depth at that halfback position. You not only do you have Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman, who I thought we would see play, but he didn't really get any action. But we also know that they have a lot more halfback depth there. So it's going to be really hard if the halfbacks are able to keep it up. I think they could end up rolling into the season with about 4 halfbacks there. So now we got to talk about what we learned for the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Schaub pretty much safe to say we can see Max Schaub on his way out, because it was not pretty for Max Schaub. I think he went like 4-14 passing. Kurt Benkert went away with this game. He absolutely blew me away. He was the total opposite of what Drew Lock was. Drew Lock kind of went back there and didn't really know a lot, but Kurt Benkert was a guy who knew what he was doing. He came up to the line. Everything was solid. Now, he also had some missed throws as well, but overall he had a pretty good performance. He was 19 of 34 passing, 185 passing yards, 1 touchdown as well. So Kurt Benkert, at this point, we can assume that he's going to end up winning this backup quarterback job with Matt Schaub, who didn't really have that good of a performance. And Matt Schaub was starting out with like the first team offensive line and things like that. And also, when we're talking about the first team offensive line, the offensive line struggled the first half. The first couple of possessions, that offensive line looked like they couldn't block anybody at all, which was another reason why Matt Schaub really wasn't able to play that good, because he didn't really have that much time to throw. But I'm assuming that the offensive line, it was just an exhibition game. We're just going to assume they wasn't giving it 100% and things like that. So the offensive line, I think, will end up being pretty good this year. But the offensive line for the first half of the Atlanta Falcons was atrocious. I mean, they looked like they couldn't block anybody for the first quarter. And then midway through the second half, they were able to snap out of it and get some things going. They also struggled to sustain drives during the first half. So when we look at some wide receivers, another wide receiver was Christian Blank. He was pretty solid. And a halfback, Brian Hill, he was pretty good as well. Kurt Benkert also had a very good 2-minute drive. He threw a touchdown pass as well to end the first half as well. So Kurt Benkert, I think at this point we can assume that Kurt Benkert is going to end up being the backup quarterback behind Matt Ryan for the Atlanta Falcons. And the Atlanta Falcons can end up parting ways with Matt Schaub, because he was not impressive at all. And overall in this game, a lot of things to take away, a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. Atlanta's offense struggled the first half, really, and both the defenses were really lights out, really. They didn't really make a lot of mistakes. Atlanta dropped a couple of key interceptions, which you expect for backup guys like second and third string cornerbacks. The Denver Broncos also had a couple of missed opportunities as well on the defense side of the ball. But for the most part, both of these teams were very lights out defensively. On the offense side of the ball, like I said earlier, Denver's offense, when they had Kevin Hogan in, they were clicking on all cylinders. He looked very solid back there, looked very poised, really like what I saw out of him. Drew Lock still has a long ways to go, still needs to get adjusted, still needs to get acclimated to the NFL game. Juwan Winfrey had a very phenomenal touchdown grab. So what we can take away is that both of these teams, it was the first game. A lot of people need to understand, like, with the Drew Lock thing, it was his first game. He should be able to get better and keep learning as he progresses throughout the preseason. And this is just the first preseason game. You could tell that, like, some of these teams, some of these players were a little bit raw and things like that. They look like they need a little bit more breaking in. And that's what training camp is for, to get you in shape for the NFL regular season, get you in end-game form and things like that. So it's a preseason game. The offenses looked a little bit rusty, but as they progress throughout preseason, they should be able to pick it up as they get more adjusted and get into more in-game shape and things like that. So the Hall of Fame game, for the most part, I enjoyed the Hall of Fame game. It wasn't really high scoring. We didn't really see a lot of big plays, anything like that, but we saw some nice runs. We also saw the NFL debut the pass interference review, when you can review pass interference. And what we learned from that is that all it's just going to do is just make the games, what the NFL is already like, a regular NFL game is already like 4 hours long. A regular football game is an hour long, but the NFL stretches it to 4 hours. So the game is already 4 hours, and it looks like the game is still going to be longer than that, with all of the reviews, all of the pass interferences that got to be reviewed and stuff like that. I think the easy solution to this, easy alternative, instead of getting coaches to review the plays would just have a sky judge up there and have somebody watch from the sky box, and then they can overturn pass interference calls and things like that. I think that will probably be a more logical approach than just having coaches challenge pass interference calls and things like that. And most of the pass interference calls that were getting reviewed were pretty much obvious. Wasn't really that much for a review. And I think most of the time in the NFL, most pass interference calls are pretty much well deserved, but some of them, like the 20%, like 80% of the pass interference calls normally are pretty right, but 20%, like the ones that we saw, some of them that don't get called against the LA Rams and things like that, those are the ones that deserve a review. But if we get a sky judge, then that can easily correct all the problems there. So this is it for this video, what we learned from the NFL Hall of Fame game. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section down below. What are some takeaways that you guys have from the game? And make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.